It's no secret to anyone by now that Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy is about as good as a homeschooled engineer's flirting abilities. The Last Jedi in particular was so poorly received by fans that Rian Johnson's own trilogy was cancelled, and it was much to blame for Solo's flop and the subsequent cancelling of other anthology films. Ever since 2019, a year during which we saw the conclusions of the sequel trilogy and Phase 3 of the MCU, Disney Studios has been in turmoil. Disney Plus has lost $11 billion since its launch late that year. Disney's stock price has fallen 37%, while the S&P 500 has risen 50% over the same period. And Star Wars project after Star Wars project has been cancelled. Now, just about every company in the world would see these figures and be deeply troubled. They'd likely rush to clean house and expend time and money to bring in the best people possible to get them back on track. They'd distance themselves from whatever projects had led to such catastrophic failures and rebrand their work. They'd take stock of their audience and figure out exactly what their paying customers want from them. But what if a company assumes it's too big to fail? What if a company assumes that its theme parks and cruises can make up for any losses its media production sectors incur? If those assumptions are true, then that company doesn't have to operate with the same mindset of others. While other production studios depend on satisfying their viewers, Disney can afford to be as off-putting as it wants to as many people as it wants. It can be an activist outlet for political ideologies before a film studio, push a not-so-secret gay agenda, and embroil itself in political controversies with the governor of its home state, losing its valuable tax advantage status. That's the only explanation for the new Star Wars film they've announced. As of right now, we know very little about the project outside the basic plot and who is heading it up. The film will follow Rey 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker as she rebuilds the Jedi Order. Great. Because what all of the fans were dying to see after that trilogy is Rey doing what we all assumed Luke had done after Return of the Jedi, and inevitably succeeding with ease where he failed.
This movie's gonna suck.
The writer is Stephen Knight, and while Peaky Blinders is an exceptional show, he has no experience working on a sci-fi or fantasy project, and he's picking up a script that was already well into development. But his involvement is still a whole lot more confidence-inspiring than the director. Let's meet Charmin Obaid-Chinoy.
Every single piece of work that I've ever created has a piece of activism in it. It could be very overt or it could be covert, but it is there. I'm not a trained filmmaker, so I never went to film school.
Ah, yes. Another uneducated activist. Because we really needed another one.
How dare you!
Worth noting, she never went to film school, but that doesn't mean she didn't go to any school. Now, I'm not of the persuasion that not going to film school should bar you from directing certain movies. I mean, in 2012, Obaid-Chinoy won an Oscar for one of her documentaries, for whatever that's worth. I am of the persuasion, however, that not going to film school and having no relevant experience should bar you from directing certain movies. Charmin has directed 15 projects, the majority of which are documentaries, a few low-budget animated movies that are literally not in English, and 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. By the way, when I say low budget, I don't mean $5 million, I mean $50,000. Those small budget activist projects are not remotely preparatory for a sci-fi adventure with what's sure to be a huge price tag. Her projects have the common theme of female empowerment, because you all loved that in the sequel trilogy, and Captain Marvel, and Avengers Endgame, and She-Hulk, and the Marvels, and yeah, this video is going to be way too long if I keep going. But to be fair, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is from Pakistan, where women's rights truly don't exist. Where Malala Yousafzai was shot as a 15-year-old girl for going to school. So maybe Charmin's idea of female empowerment is more like Malala's, advocating for the rights of girls to get an education and things of basic human dignity, rather than the American, we need more female engineers, feminists who aren't able to name a single woman who wants to be an engineer but can't.
And we're in 2024 now, and I think it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh no, Charmin went to college in America. And anyone who went to Smith College and Stanford knows that the best way to make a high-quality film is to prioritize having a director with a vagina over, making a high-quality film. Putting a diverse woman in the driver's seat sets the stage for you to blame her failure on everyone else being a racist, sexist bigot, rather than her having no qualifications and being generally incompetent. Whoops, wrong diverse woman. No, yeah, there we go. I guess Kathleen Kennedy saw South Park.
Any diverse woman in it, make it same.
and said, check it out, I'll put a diverse woman in charge of it and make it lame. But the funniest part is what she said made no sense.
It's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away.
Where have you been? This is not the first time a woman has shaped a Star Wars project. And I don't mean featuring female characters because that's obviously not what she was going for. I mean this. Her, whatever. Has Kathleen Kennedy not been shaping the Star Wars franchise? And if not, what has she been getting paid for the last decade? Had Disney not given the game away with their political battles, this would be utterly baffling to me. I mean, if I suggested to my superiors someone to oversee the planning of a billion-dollar industrial complex whose past work didn't rise above redesigning kitchens on the basis that they're a woman, I'd rightfully be laughed out of the building. But again, I don't think Disney cares if this movie is successful. I think Disney assumes that it can use its movies as a soapbox to shout its socio-political messaging, and its other business lines will carry the financial burden. But with their stock continuing to crater and the theme parks taking a hit in the back half of 2023, someday in the not-so-distant future, that might not be true. Hey, if you liked this video, be a friend, tell a friend. If you really liked it, you can check out some of my other videos and consider subscribing to the channel. 2024 is sure to be a fun year. We'll be doing more scene breakdowns, more reviews of alternative movies, and I've got something big planned for the end of it that you're not going to want to miss. So, see you soon and God bless.